Some weather, huh? Hi, Al. How you doing? You were on television. I saw Al on television today. It was great. So thank you all for being here. This is really amazing. I mean, we're coming to the end of a beautiful, beautiful journey. I hear we're going to do well, but the snow is out there. I don't know. What effect will the snow have? Will it have an effect? It can't have an effect. We can handle the snow. But it's going to be, I think, something special. Tomorrow's a very big day, and it's going to be a very big day for the nation. And it's going to be a vote that I think people, if I believe everything I'm reading, we're going to do very well. And we're going to see. What do you think? We're going to do well? Make America great again. See that hat? It's my guy, huh? And it's going to be very exciting. I want to thank Al. I saw him all over television today. There's nobody that loves the vets more than Al, right? And we're going to take care of the vets. We're going to take care of the vets. And Al goes to the speeches of many of the candidates, all of the candidates essentially, and he's settled with Trump because I know the issues, and I really know the issues. And it seems like with the vets, we almost have unanimous support because we know what to do and we know what to. They've been so poorly treated. They've been so badly treated. So Al, you're going to make sure I keep that perfectly, right? We're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to take care of a lot of people. They're our greatest people, and we're not taking care of. You know, we have illegal immigrants that are taken care of better than our vets. So it's going to be something. So we're going to stop in terms of trade. We're going to stop the craziness that's going on. We're going to stop so much in terms of purchasing. You know, when our country purchases drugs, we're the largest drug purchaser in the world. I'm talking about prescription drugs, all kinds of drugs, drugs to make you better. We barely even negotiate with the drug companies. The reason we don't negotiate is because the people that I'm running against are all getting money from the drug companies. I'm the only one. I get no money from anybody. I feel a little bit like, am I foolish? In fact, I wonder, I'm self-funding my campaign. I wonder, I'm the only one on either side. And thank you. But I often wonder, does it make a difference? Because do people really know it? And I think some people do, but a lot of people don't. You know, they don't even know the difference. You know, when Woody Johnson, as an example of Johnson & Johnson, is self-funding a guy like Jeb Bush. Now, Jeb's not going anywhere. This guy's not a guy that can go anywhere. Total stiff. But now here's a guy spent $110 million, and he's just going nowhere. But Woody Johnson's the head of his campaign to raise money. And Woody Johnson's Johnson & Johnson. Then you wonder why we don't negotiate with the drug companies, okay? We're going to who? Johnson can't win a football team. He can't win a football game. Well, he's a nice guy. Woody's actually a friend of mine. He's a nice guy. But you know, when you look at that and you see what's happening, hundreds of billions of dollars in saving if we make a favored nations clause, if we do anything, if we negotiate. That's one out of many. You have defense contractors, the same thing. You have so many. So there's so much fat in this budget. There's so much fat in the way we purchase. It's going to be a thing of beauty. We're going to do much better than even I've been saying. I'm telling you, much better than even I've been saying. So, you know, one of the things with New Hampshire, and it amazes me because you come through this idyllic setting, this beautiful with the trees and the beautiful roads winding up to the hill, like where we are right now in this little area. And I say, wow, isn't this beautiful? And yet, every time I'm with the folks from New Hampshire, and I've been here long before the political stuff because I have a lot of friends, some in this room. I've been here long before the political stuff. So I know New Hampshire very well, and I love it. I love the people. They really are amazing people. But I always hear, thank you, honey. Who said that? Who said that? Thank you. I know she's voting. Thank you, Dad. But I've always heard, and it amazes me, heroin and the drug problem. And I don't see it with New Hampshire. You know, you don't see it. But the people of New Hampshire, it's like the first question I always get is, what are you going to do about the drug problem? So who's better than me on the border? The drugs are pouring in across the southern border for the most part, heroin and all sorts of drugs. And I'm talking countrywide. It's countrywide. But they're pouring through. And I'm going to build a wall, and you know that, and I'm going to have Mexico pay for the wall. And the reason they're going to pay, thank you, and these other guys don't even understand. You know, 6 months ago they said, what do you mean you're going to build a wall? You can't build a wall. Well, the Great Wall of China is 13,000 miles. By the way, that's a serious wall, too. It's 13,000 miles. This wall is 2,000, of which we need 1,000 because we have a lot of natural barriers, which are frankly great. But we need about 1,000 miles. So China can do 13,000, 2,000 years ago, and we can't do 1,000 today with brand new Caterpillar tractors. We don't use Komatsu. Ideally, we're using Caterpillar. So we're going to build, we're going to have a great border. We're going to have a real border. And people can come into the country, but they have to come in legally. They have to go through the process. They have to come in legally. And that border is very important. Immigration is so important. When you look at ISIS, I don't know if you heard, just before I got here, there was a big attack in Europe where they have many ISIS people in different countries attacking in Germany. I just heard it 2 seconds ago. I was actually on a show, and they interrupted me for this attack. And I said, wow, that's bad. And, you know, you got to interrupt for attack. It's an attack, but it's pretty bad. And it's ISIS. Supposedly it's ISIS. Just happened 2 minutes ago on CNN. It's ISIS, and it's a lot of people in Europe. What are we doing? We can't do this anymore. They want to let these people come in. We have no idea where they're from. You know, the migration, I have a bigger heart than anybody. But we have to be smart. We have no idea where they come from. It could be the great Trojan horse. Look at what's going on in Germany. Look at what's went on in Sweden last week. Sweden, where there's going to be a revolution. Who ever heard of this in Sweden? It never happened before. And they're having tremendous crime, tremendous problems. You know what? We have enough problems, folks. We can be nice. We'll get a safe zone. I will get the Gulf states to pay for it. I don't want to pay for it. We're tired of paying. We owe $19 trillion. Like a business. If we had a business, you'd say the same thing. I don't want to pay for it, right? We just made a deal with Iran. We gave them $150 billion, okay? I would have said, we don't have the money. Sorry. Sorry, we can't do it. We don't have the money. So we're not going to do it anymore. We're not going to do it anymore. We're not going to be the stupid people anymore. We're not going to have the stupid leaders anymore. We're going to have people. We have the greatest business people in the world right here. We're going to have our great business leaders. Carl Icahn, who's one of the greats, he just endorsed me. And other people are endorsing me. They all want to endorse me. But we're going to have these great business leaders negotiate our deals with China and with Japan. Japan sends cars in here like it's candy, right? Cars by the millions, Japan. We give them practically nothing. We've got to have balance. We've got to have fair trade. I'm a free trader, by the way, 100%. But we've got to have fair trade and smart trade. We can't lose. Last year it was $505 billion with China, one country, okay? Trade imbalance. I mean, we're losing a fortune. We can't do it. At some point, we can't do it. And we don't have the right people negotiating. We have people, and as I said, they're political hacks. We have hacks negotiating. So we're going to have great borders. We're going to have strong borders. We're going to be careful with who we let into the country. We can't allow people that are going to cause trouble. We have enough problems without more trouble. So I came in, when I announced on June 16th, I went downstairs in Trump Tower. It was like the Academy Awards with these guys, with the press. It was like the Academy Awards. And I started talking about illegal immigration, and everyone went crazy. And 2 weeks later, everybody started saying, you know, maybe Trump has a point. And then 4 weeks later, right? And then 4 weeks later, they were saying, bah, bah, bah. And then they started coming to me, and they started saying, well, we're just as tough as him. They're not. In fact, you know, Sheriff Joe from Arizona, he endorsed me last week. Sarah Palin endorsed me. Sheriff Joe endorsed me. When Sheriff Joe endorses you, you have the toughest on immigration. But what is funny, and I laughed, because even during the debate, somebody said, but over the last week or so, I've been hearing, and we're going to build a wall. I said, whoa. And my wife said it to me last week. She heard, I won't mention the name of the person, because nice guy, but he was talking about, we will build a wall at the border. And my wife came, darling, did he just say going to build a wall? First time we've heard that. So look, these are politicians, okay? I heard just Jeb Bush, who's a total lightweight. I heard Jeb Bush say before, yes, Marco Rubio is a very, very good friend of mine. I said, he's not a friend of yours. He's not a friend. He hates him. Why does he have to say he's a friend of mine? He just said it on Wolf Blitzer. I was listening. Marco is a friend of mine. He's a dear friend. This is political stuff, folks. We got to get out of it. We got to get out of it. Not friends, you know, not friends. And they lie so much. It's just incredible. We have to get away from these politicians, and we have to bring sanity to this country. And the nice part about me is that because I'm not being taken care of by the oil companies and by the drug companies and by all of the other companies and by countries, Because you have not only companies, you have companies and countries that have lobbyists. And that debate the other night, which everybody did say I won, but I won't say that. You know, when the Time Magazine did a poll. Now, I have zero influence over Time Magazine, right? So they did a poll. Almost 70% said I won the debate. And I think next was 6 or 7%. So that was pretty good. But no, I love doing it. But I listened to the whole thing. And then I had to point out to the audience, the crowd was all donors. In fact, I needed some tickets, so we called the RNC. And they said, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have any. They were all bought up by the donors. Now, they actually mean the donors' special interest and lobbyists. They don't want to say that, right? The donors' special interest. I said, what do you mean? That's not fair to me. I'm the only one that doesn't have any donors. That means the room was stacked. So I had 1,000 people in the room, most of whom were donors to these other guys. And people would say something that was like, you know, nothing. And you'd hear clapping. That's because they're desperate to have these people elected. So it was sort of funny. But I had to point it out. Who else would point it out? I said, this room is stacked with donors. No, I wanted to do it because if I won the debate, and I think I did, I mean, I know the points like anybody else, but I won the debate. But, you know, when somebody else has things that are really bad and they get applause, they're only getting applause because these people have total control over your local politician and over your federal politician, over your national politicians. And I will tell you, we're going to change it around. We're going to change it around. So, you know, we have a big day coming up tomorrow. It's really important. So I don't want your money. You know, a lot of these guys come in, they ask for money. Can you believe it? If you could give, I don't want any money. I don't need money. I built a great company, like one of the great companies. I have some of the greatest assets in the world, very little debt, great care. I don't need that. And the only reason I even mention that is because that's the kind of thinking we need in the country. Enough with these stupid people. That's the kind of thinking we need in the country. I wouldn't mention that. You know, it takes guts to run for president, and it does. I told you the story when I was coming down the escalator. I just took a deep breath. I said to my wife, let's go. But I took a deep, deep breath because it does. It's something, I've never done this before, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it, but we have to bring sanity. I'm not doing it because of that, because I can think of other things. As much as I love you people, I could be on a beach someplace. It's not so bad, right? We could be someplace else. The fact is, I love the end result, what's going to be. We're going to have a phenomenal, strong, powerful, rich country again. One woman came up to me, a wonderful woman. She said, you know, Mr. Trump, I'm supporting you, and I really like you, but I don't like one thing. You say you're going to make our country rich. I say, honey, you know, I can't help it if we don't make it rich. I see that tat. If we don't make it rich, we can't make it great. We need money. We need money. We're no different than a person. We're no different than a company. We have to be rich, and we can be rich. We're being drained by all of these devaluations and these other countries that are run by smarter people than our people. I mean, to put it mildly. They're smarter people, and also they don't have the same influence. You know, we're influenced by all of the money. When you see these PACs, when you see a guy like Jeb, a guy who's a very average guy or less than an average guy, having all of this money where they give him $128 million to waste. And then he takes ads against me. I think he spent $25 million on negative ads on me, and my poll numbers went up. No, it's incredible. And then you see him on television. He wants to raise taxes. He doesn't like the Second Amendment. All the things that I say, exactly the opposite. I'm doing the biggest tax cut. In fact, I just talked to Larry Kudlow, the great economist, and he was saying Trump has the best tax plan. I'm doing the biggest tax cut. But then I have a politician, this guy, and he's on television saying that I want to raise taxes, and I don't like the Second Amendment. I'm the strongest, you have heard me talk, I'm the strongest person on the Second Amendment that exists of these candidates, not even close. So when you hear a guy talking about he wants to do harm to the Second Amendment, I just hope people don't believe these things. These are lying people. These are lying, bad people. So we are going to do something that's going to be spectacular, and you're going to be there, and this is a very special group of people, and that's why I wanted to do a do-over. Believe it or not, I couldn't get the plane in, so, you know, I took a little heat for that, for the snow, and now it snows again. I said, there's no way I'm going to stand these. I said, I don't care if I have to come through the Yukon. There's no way. And I thought, with that, I think what we'll do is we'll take a few questions. So go ahead. Anybody have any questions? Yeah, go ahead. Sure. Go ahead. In the back. Oh, do you have a question? Yeah. Go ahead. Okay. Oh, well, I know that. Very powerful.
First, Mr. Trump, thank you for visiting
the
great town of Londonderry.
Thank
it's
you.
great to have you here.
Thank you.
We've got a lot of economic development going on in this town, probably
Right.
more than any other town in New Hampshire right now. But what will you do as a country to make us more economically competitive in the future?
We're going to bring our jobs back. You know, I passed some of the factories, and I passed some of the old factories, some empty and some, with senior citizen housing and different housing. And the housing is all great and all the senior citizen stuff, but eventually we need jobs, okay? Not just a place to stay. We need jobs. They used to be booming, and now they're empty, or they were converted into, in many cases, senior citizen housing. We need, right now in this country, we need jobs. That's what we need. And the jobs have gone. They've gone to Mexico. And I mean, for this area, what's happened to you with Mexico, with people that don't know what they're doing with trade agreements, I mean, it's incredible. I'm going to bring the jobs back. And they'll come back here, but they're going to come back all over the country. You look at, I mean, it's important. We love the country. I want the automobile industry to come. Let them come back into Michigan. Ford's building a $2.5 billion plant in Mexico. I talk about it all the time. It's ridiculous. And then they'll sell cars and they'll sell them into this country for no tax, no nothing. What do we get out of it? How does it help us when Ford is building this plant? $2.5 billion. Think of it. It's a one-story building. $2.5 billion. You know how big this thing is? Now, they're going to make thousands and millions of cars and trucks and parts. How does it help us? It's in Mexico. How does it help us that they're going to make these cars and sell many of them into the United States, along with trucks and parts? Where is it good for us? Now, you know that they closed factories in the United States in order to do this. So I went to the Wharton School of Finance. You went to your own schools. Whether you went to school or not, you don't have to, I mean, it's no good, okay? It's no good. So I told people, and I tell it all the time, I would say, folks, if you're going to go there, we're charging you tax. You want to leave us, build a plant, make cars, and sell them back, you're going to have to pay a big tax. You know what? You do that, they're not going there. They're going to stay right here, okay? 100%, they're going to stay right here. And so we're going to do things. And just, Mr. Mayor, first of all, congratulations. I hear you do a great job, so congratulations, really. But unfortunately, 99% of the country has got problems. When you hear about the 5% unemployment rate, it's sad that they can even get away with it, because the real rate could be 25. Some people think it's 42%. But you have tens of millions of people that have given up looking for a job. And honestly, I go to Dallas. I go to all these places. I have 20,000 people filling an arena. Tonight, you're all invited, by the way, over to the Verizon. You know that, right? I hope. Who's going tonight? Are you all going? I hope you're going to go. Yeah, because we're going to have an amazing event there tonight. And again, the snow, but I think we'll still have it. It'll still be a great event. It's going to be amazing. But much more important, don't go tonight if it's going to hold back your vote tomorrow. Tomorrow's more important than tonight. But we have to do something. We have to do something fast. Most of the country is in turmoil. And when I get these massive people, 35,000 people recently in Mobile, Alabama, and they show up, 35,000 people. When I get all of these people, that's because we don't have jobs. And the stock market today is down, by the way, almost 350 points. Is anybody getting killed in the stock market with your money? Yeah. This guy. Well, it'll come back. Let me get in. You have a conflict of interest. I'll get it up. I mean, look, we have to get it up. But the stock market is absolutely being killed. What is it? Oh, 384. Wow, that's a big hit. But that's, the stock market is the worst in its history for the first month. Worst in its history for the first period. So let's see what happens. That was our only vestige of hope, by the way, because the stock market was good, but everything else was bad. And I kept saying, don't worry, the stock market will follow. And that's what happened. Okay, how are you?
Hi. Yes or no, will you return the contribution that you received from white nationalist William Daniel Johnson?
Who are they? Oh, I don't know who he is. Never heard of him. Who is it?
He's a white nationalist.
Well, I would certainly return it if you think it's appropriate. I know nothing about him.
You've been asked to return
I have? Okay, then I would return it. Don't be so angry. I don't even know who he is. Who the hell is he? I don't know.
Thank you, Mr. Trump. I was sitting here reminding myself that 53 years ago, I actually went to a 7th grade Valentine's dance in this very room. I went to school across the street from here, and we had no gym, so this was our gym. But some people say I might have changed a bit in 53 years. Well, I can tell you what has been changing in New Hampshire is our winters have grown shorter, and our moose numbers are down about 50%, and as our winters have shrunk, and the disease for the moose are up. We need, you're not a shy guy, but you've been kind of shy to talk about climate change. We need someone who will address climate change and help make our moose great again.
It's interesting because my sons are hunters and they love hunting and they know all about your moose up here. They were actually telling me that. Is that mostly disease, are you saying, or is that from hunting?
The ticks that get on the moose.
Wow.
The low snow, the female lay eggs, they fry.
Wow, that's unbelievable. And it's down 50%.
75% of the moose cats died last winter.
Wow, that's amazing. I'll look at that. That's incredible. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you support the death penalty for convicted drug dealers that are convicted of causing a death?
Well, I do support the death penalty. I'd have to be a little bit careful with that. If somebody kills somebody, I support the death penalty. And I support the death penalty for policemen that get killed when they go and, we had a case in New York where they go into the car, they put the gun to an officer's head, they pull the trigger. Death penalty all the way. I've always supported the death penalty. I've always supported the death penalty. I don't even understand people that don't. You have cases that are so egregious where a guy will come up to an 85-year-old woman, punch her in the face, shoot her in the head, rape her, kill her, and then they put him in jail for 25 years. How you can even think of that? And I have friends that are good people, and they say, no, it's cruel and unusual punishment. What is that? It's like the other day during the debate, they talked about the whole thing with waterboarding. And they said to actually Ted Cruz, good guy, they were talking to him about it, and you could see he was hedging. He didn't want to get involved too much. Well, I don't know. You could see it. I understand. Because maybe they feel it's politically incorrect to talk about waterboarding. Now, waterboarding is sort of the least form of torture, if it's torture. Or some people think it's not actually torture, but it's sort of a minimal form. But they talked to him, and he was really very tentative, to put it mildly. Then they said, well, what do you think? I said, I'm totally in favor of waterboarding. But I'm also in favor of far worse than waterboarding, because people are chopping off the heads of our people. They're chopping off the heads. They're chopping off their heads. And I don't know, maybe I lose votes if I say that. I don't really care. You got to be yourself. I think one of the reasons I'm doing so well, I don't have pollsters. These guys, they can't speak. When Bush was asked a question when he first started about, is the war in Iraq good? So what do we do? I was opposed to it. And by the way, I'm a very militaristic person. Our military is going to be so big, so strong, so powerful, nobody's going to mess with us, believe me. But you got to know. And I don't want to use it. But you got to know. And they asked him, well, was the war in Iraq good or bad? I don't know. Remember that 5 days, 6 days, he gave one answer, another. He went back and forth. This is a guy who is pathetic. And then finally, the pollsters told him what to say. And he said it was bad. Of course it was bad. We spent $2 trillion. We got nothing. Thousands of lives. Wounded warriors who I love all over the place. Got nothing. And now Iran has taken over Iraq. That's the only deal they made that's better than the $150 billion. I always say the $150, that was one of the greatest deals I've ever said. The greatest deal is we gave them Iraq. And Iraq has the second largest oil reserves in the world. So Iran is doing that. Now they're taking over Yemen, not because they want Yemen. They don't want Yemen. They want Saudi Arabia. They'll go and take over Saudi Arabia. And then Saudi Arabia, we defend them for practically nothing. We have bases where we pay rent. We pay rent in Saudi Arabia. Now, I like the Saudis. The Saudis are fine. I do business with them. They're great. Why are we paying rent in Saudi Arabia? They were making $1 billion a day before the oil went down, so now they're making half, okay? We pay rent for military bases. We protect them. Why are we paying rent? They should pay a lot of money if we're going to protect them. I think it's great. South Korea, we protect. We have 28,000 soldiers in South Korea. I order thousands and thousands of televisions and all sorts of things, air conditioners. I order thousands and thousands of them. They all come through South Korea. They make a fortune. They're a behemoth. So when North Korea acts up with this maniac, they act up. We start the ships with this, with that. We're going to protect it. What do we get? We get nothing. We get peanuts, a fraction of the real cost, a fraction. And they're good. I have buildings in South Korea. But you know what? We got to be taken care of. We're not a nation that has to do this. We protect Germany. Nobody even knows that. We protect, as an example, Japan. We have a treaty with Japan. If Japan gets attacked, we have to go to their defense, start World War III, right? If we get attacked, Japan doesn't have to do anything. No, these are the deals that we have. So we get attacked. We get attacked. Japan, because, oh, it's too bad you got attacked. Bye-bye. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. They get attacked. We have to go to war. And I say, who makes these deals? Politicians. Crooked politicians. In many cases, not stupid politicians. They have people from Japan that take care of them through the lobbyists, through special interests, for other reasons, a lot of industry. So, you know, those days are gone. If I get in, you will be so proud of our country. And we're using our smartest people. We're not going to use the dummies. We're going to use the smartest people. We're going to use the great geniuses, many of whom built great fortunes and would love to do it. They don't want money. They don't want any money. Is your leg okay? Huh? You look like a rough guy even with a bad leg, right? Looks like a tough cookie, this guy. I wouldn't mess around with him even with that, right? Anyway, but so we have to get smart, and we have to get tough, and we have to be vigilant. You know, when I talked about the Muslims, everybody, same thing. When I talked about illegal immigration in Mexico, oh, the heat. Then I talked about the Muslims. We've got a problem. Everybody wanted to say, we have a president that won't talk about radical Islamic terrorism, won't talk about it. He won't mention it. I mean, when it's 100%, like in Paris, 100%. In California, the 14 people that were killed, 100%. We have a president that won't even talk about it. If you can't talk about it, you can't even use the name, you're never going to solve the problem. So when I said we have to have a moratorium, we have to have a ban until we find out what's going on, and it's temporary and all, but it's got to be a ban because there's a lot of hatred out there. I took a tremendous amount of heat, and now everyone's sort of saying Trump is right. He's right. Look at what's going on in the world. Look at Germany. Look at Sweden. Look at these places. Look at what's happening in the world. So I will tell you, we have to do what's right. And in my case, I do something that's a little different. If it's votes, I don't go to a pollster. I didn't go to a pollster and say, could you tell me how it would be if I told the truth about what's going on with radical Islamic terrorism? I didn't say to a pollster that these people, these very, in many cases, not smart people, they pay so much money, they can't function without a pollster. They can't function. Everything's polled. That's our politicians. I have much more money than them, but I don't have a pollster. I don't want a pollster. I say the truth. Most of the people in here understand what the truth is, and they get it. And many times it's probably bad for me, but I don't care. Because if it means I lose because I say the truth, I'd rather lose. Does that make sense? Yes, go ahead.
My name is Stephen Slider. I'm from Conway. 15 years ago, I lost my 19-year-old son to a prescription drug overdose. And I've been fighting this fight for a long time. Talking to a lot of the so-called politicians. I heard you speak yesterday up in Plymouth. Took me 2 hours to drive down, by the way. I beat you hour and a half. The situation is
Did you like what I had to say?
I did, because you said one thing that was wrong, though. You're not a politician. You're a public servant. The public servant, we need a leader that's going to really tackle this problem. I think the last time that this country took the drug issue seriously was when Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush were in office. We had Nancy Reagan just say no. I mean, a lot of people thought that was trivial, but it really wasn't. I mean, this was my boy.
Beautiful.
This is my boy that
Beautiful.
passed away.
And with prescription. So what happened? He had the prescription.
He was a so-called weekend warrior, as I called him. You know, a lot of kids start off with marijuana and think it's no big deal. In today's drug culture, all the drugs have come together. When we look at, you know, obviously heroin came all about because of the prescription drug problem. It created a vacuum. We had a methamphetamine problem. When pseudoephedrine was locked down, we had a meth problem. The Mexicans jumped on that too. So obviously, the majority of the heroin coming across the borders coming from Mexico and South America. We need a president and a leader that really will take this on. I'd love to have your wife. There's many, many family groups like mine that are out there, and I think tapping into that effort and tapping into that energy can make a difference in our country. Right. I could go on and on, but
No, but I can't see that. No, the love of your son is incredible, and I can see that, and you should want to. I'd be in the same position.
I'd love to have your wife and Ivanka be
I
a part
understand
of the
that.
new parent group. When you get to the White House, I will reach out.
Well, we'll do that. You let us know, and we will. And you know the guys. You call the mayor or somebody, and I would do that in 2 seconds. No, because I see the passion. I see the passion, and you're right. And it's things that could have been avoided. And they start on the heroin because it's so cheap. There's so much of it. People from here, they say how cheap it is. And that's the problem. It's so cheap, and it's so readily available that everybody starts it, and that's where it starts. And frankly, a lot of times that's where it's in because it's got such power. When I say politician, I always say I hate calling myself a politician because I know the politicians too well. And I do. I usually don't even say the word politician because I hate calling myself a politician. I guess probably by definition over the last 6 or 7 months, that's what I am, but I still refuse to say I'm a politician. Go ahead.
And I guess while I was thinking, I tell you my mind's going a million miles an hour here, but there was something I wanted to say and I went blank. I'm sorry, folks, but the border is important, and I understand where what we need to do, and there's a lot of parents out there that want to get those parent groups back started again. And I know what I'm to talk about. The 6,000 drug dealers that were let out of jail. Hopefully we won't have a repeat of that.
It's unbelievable. What do you think those people, of the 6,000, almost every single one of them will be back selling drugs, okay? These people are babies that think differently, and a lot of them don't even think differently. They just don't care. Frankly, I don't even think they care. It's almost like they don't like the country. But out of those 6,000, every single one of them will be back selling drugs. It'll be very rare for one that doesn't. It's a tough situation. I'm sorry about your son. And we will. And Mayor, you'll remember that. You'll bring a group. If we win, you're going to come to the White House. You're going to bring a group. Because I can learn much more from Steve than I can learn from these consultants that get paid millions of dollars.
Thank you, Kevin.
I can learn, honestly, so much more from Steve than I can from these consultants that get paid millions and millions of dollars by the governments and all of the different groups that hire him. He knows more in his one hand than they know. Now, as far as the wall is concerned, Mexico, in all fairness, Mexico could stop this stuff. They're tough as hell. They could stop it. They could stop people from coming across the border. They have no respect for our country. They have no respect. They could stop it one day before the wall. The wall's going up, folks. I don't care. The wall's going up. No, the wall's up. But Mexico, the Mexican government could stop that. They could stop it in 2 minutes. In Mexico, a friend of mine was in Mexico. They were on a vacation or something, and he overstayed for like 2 days, and he gets a knock on the door from the police. Why are you here? You're not supposed to be here. Questioning him. This is a business guy. He didn't know what was going on. But by the way, that's the right thing. Why are you here? You're not here. You're supposed to have left the country. Can you imagine us doing that in our country? They just walk right through. Or anchor babies. Try having an anchor baby in Mexico, okay? Just try it. They'll laugh at you. They wouldn't even know what you're talking about. So anyway, go ahead, ma'am.
I would like to thank you very much for running for president. We really need a better president than we have now. Me and my husband are small business owners. We've been in business for 43 years. I would like to know what you're going to do for the people that have been here struggling to stay in business and trying to provide for the people in this area. And we're at the point where we don't know how long we're going to
Well, part of the problem you have is regulation, right? The regulations are so brutal on small businesses, and we're going to be getting rid of so many of those regulations. We're going to go back, we may go back 20 years, but they have put regulations on us, and all it does is bureaucracy. It's like Common Core. I'm totally opposed to Common Core. You have to see the Department of Education. You know, guys like Jeb Bush are totally in favor of Common Core. They want your kids educated from Washington, and they're weak on immigration. Remember, they come as an act of love. That was Jeb Bush. They come as an act of love. Give me a break. They come as an act of love, and you can't have that. But with the small businesses and businesses generally, including large businesses, the regulations are so onerous you can't survive. Go ahead.
The fees that the government imposed on us are...
The fees, that's right.
But the other thing, the Common Core is a very important one for me, because we hire people that can't even subtract and add and do percentages, and I have to do it myself.
And they've been through the whole thing.
They're college students.
Look, nothing like education being locally based. I've seen it. I've watched it. I'm a big believer in education. I've had a great education. It helped me a lot. And I will tell you, education is so important. Common Core is a disaster. It's good for the people in Washington, but it's a disaster. We're going to have education. And just to put it, so in the world, we're number 30 in the world in education. We're number 1 on cost per pupil, but we're number 30 in the world. Not going to happen anymore, folks. We're going to go, Common Core is going to be out of here. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Ruby Wiles, and I drove 500 miles to meet you, Mr. Trump, to ask for your help in education. I remember when our country was great again, and I believe it can be great again.
I agree.
I grew up in a middle class, lower middle class family. I'm the first person in my family to go to college. I went to Penn, graduated cum laude, another alum. And so I went back to rural Pennsylvania, and I started a nonprofit focused on literacy and education. For 4 years, I've been giving free books away. We've given 75,000 worth of free books to kids in northwestern rural Pennsylvania in our county. But I realized we need a different kind of school, and I came here to ask for your help in raising funds to open what I call the first equal opportunity school.
Donna, give me some stuff. Okay, give it to him. He'll give it to you. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Very interesting. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so from my consultant here, I understand that from 1791 to 2008, the national debt was 10 trillion, and now it's...
Oh, it's going up so fast. Go ahead.
Okay, it went up a lot
Yeah, to put it mildly.
in the last 8 years. So what do
It's going to go up another $2 trillion very soon because of the new budget they just approved. Go ahead.
So how did this happen, and what do we do?
It happened because we have incompetent politicians. It happened because we have crooked politicians. It happened because we have politicians that are getting massive campaign contributions, and they're protecting companies and countries. And with me, none of that's going to happen. Don't worry, we're going to get it down. We're going to get it down. It's called competition. I'll guarantee you, I told you the story about the drug companies. In the military, you have the same thing. In education, you have the same thing. You have the same thing everywhere. No competition. It's going to go down tremendously. It's going to go down. Okay. Okay, go ahead. Yes.
What is your exact plan to stop ISIS?
Plans or something. You have no idea how many people ask that question. You know, in one way, you hate to talk about it because you just want to surprise. I always say unpredictable. When Obama announced that we're leaving Iraq on a certain date, the enemy said, who would tell us that? And they pulled back. You know, they don't want to die as much as people say they don't care. They do care. And they pulled back, and right after that date, they went in and did whatever they want to do. And, you know, it's gone. Frankly, it's all controlled by Iran now. Soon will be totally controlled, including all of the oil. But there's a certain thing, you know, remember the 50 soldiers that we're sending over about 3 months ago? We are sending 50 soldiers over to Iraq and Syria. We're sending 50 soldiers. Big news conference. Why are we telling people this? Right, Al? Why are we telling people this? Why do we send them? So now these 50 young, beautiful people have targets on their back. Everyone's looking for them. If he wouldn't say that, he wouldn't know. But he wants the publicity. He wants to show. And actually, it's not even a good thing to say because 50 sounds so small. It's almost like, what are you doing with 50 people? But why do you say this? So, you know, when they say, what are you going to do with ISIS? I have absolute plans. I told you about the oil. I want to knock the hell out of the oil and take it away from them and everything else. But I hate to talk about it. I just want to do it. I want to do it. I want to do it. And I have some very definite ideas. We have to do the banking circles. You know, they have banking circuits that are very sophisticated where money's pouring in. but you don't like to talk. I have a real chance of winning. You got to get out and vote tomorrow. But if I win, I'm not going to be talking. I'm not going to be saying, I always say, I use the expression, General George Patton and General MacArthur, these were great sort of semi-modern day generals. These were tough cookies. They didn't talk. Can you imagine General George Patton being asked, sitting on a television show talking about what he's going to do? He'd smack the hell. He likes smacking people. Like smacking people in the face. He'd smack the anchor in the face for asking him the question. No, but this is a different kind of a world. And I don't want to be talking too much about things like that. All I can say, darling, is trust me, we will win. We will win so fast, okay? And we'll hit them very, very hard. Yes, sir, go ahead. Right here, yeah, take this.
I was just curious as to what your thoughts may have been on term limits for the congressmen and their lifelong payment, because I don't know of any job in the world that when you stop doing it, you continue getting paid for the rest of your life.
I'm absolutely okay with term limits. I don't think, to me, it's not the most important thing, I'll be honest with you, because, in theory, a term limit are the voters, right? If somebody doesn't do a job, you vote them out. So I've always viewed that as the term limit, but I'm absolutely okay with term limits. They are protective of themselves. Well, they don't have to take Obamacare. Do you ever notice? I mean, little things like that. You tell me, how good is Obamacare? We're going to repeal it and replace it. How good is Obamacare? When they don't have to take it, okay? They don't have to take it. We have to take it. They don't have to take it. That tells you everything right there. It's disgusting. I'm okay with getting rid of the term, okay? Okay, maybe one more, and we'll go out. Let's see a real good one. Who's got a good, interesting question? He's a rough-looking guy, that guy. Go ahead, darling. Go ahead. Go ahead. Hi.
I'm an old flight attendant with United Airlines.
A young flight attendant.
Very old. And I flew Flight 175 September 10th. And in watching the news, the first tower was hit. And then I saw my airplane with my friends on Flight 175.
Right.
And they were young and good kids, good kids. Two of them just, Amy and her boyfriend Ted had just gotten engaged the week before on a layover. And a lot of...
You mean you were on that flight previous?
Like 24 hours.
I see.
And they were my friends, good kids, young, like 20 years old.
Right.
I could have been their mom. But a lot of survival guilt. And when I got back on the airplane to work a trip, I was so angry. I wasn't afraid at all. I was almost looking for these guys.
I understand.
I don't know what I would have done, but I was looking for them. But I was so angry and I was so sad. And the two together, it was tough to function. And I had to...
And angry's okay, because being angry is okay. We're going to get that. We're going to make you happy again. But being angry is okay. Go ahead.
But the two together, I had to walk away from the job, and I loved my job. I mean, I know the world has changed.
I don't blame you, frankly.
Well,
I don't blame you.
I mean, this was in the 70s when I started.
No, I
Things
understand.
were so different.
Yeah.
And September 12th.
The world is a different place.
The world.
And we have allowed it to become a different place. It's not that it should be different. We've allowed it through weakness to be a different place. And, it's an interesting word that she uses because she talks about anger. And I like that you talked about that word because I'm going to discuss it. Go ahead. Are you finished?
I was just going to say, I had to walk away from my job. And a lot of like PTSD, why them? They're so young, why not me? But this little girl asked about ISIS, but I asked Governor Christie and Governor Bush what they would do to protect my family, my friends, all of the people in this room, our country, how to protect us. I mean, I expect North Korea to go knocking on the door at the White House and saying, you gave Iran $150 billion. What are you going to give me? What?
I understand. Thank you, darling. Thank you very much. I understand what you're going through. So recently, before the previous debate, you know, the one I missed I'm very happy with because I raised $6 million, Al knows, for the vets, so I'm very happy with that. I don't know, good or bad for me, but I raised $6 million for the vets. But recently I was asked about, are we angry? Because, you know, we have a whole movement going on, and we're on the cover of Time magazine. I say we, all of us. We're on the cover of Time magazine, and last week, and it was an amazing story, but it's in a movement. And recently, as you know, Governor Nikki Haley made a speech, and she talked about the anger, like it was a bad thing. By the end of the day, she was talking about it like it was, you know, okay, because she was being hit from so many, because people are angry. We're angry at the stupidity of our government, the fact that we allow things like ISIS to happen, shouldn't happen, the weakness of our leaders, the total weakness. So during the debate, they asked me, the previous debate, they asked me about anger. And I said, and it was as per what she was saying. And they thought I was going to say, well, no, I'm not angry. I'm really not angry. I thought to myself, you know, I have to think pretty quickly on these things. But I thought to myself, I said, yeah, I am angry. And a lot of people are angry. We're not angry people. I'm not an angry person. But we're angry at the level of incompetence and the level of stupidity that we see in our government. And until we correct it, we're going to continue to be angry. And I'm damn angry, and so are the people that show up by the thousands to these events. So there's nothing wrong with being angry, and we'll get that straightened out. And you know, it's very interesting. And that afternoon, Nikki Haley said, no, Donald Trump's my friend, and he's a contributor. You know, it was a whole different change. But the truth is, and I'm not knocking her, I'm not saying anything about it, I'm just saying, certainly the tone changed. We are angry, and we're not angry people. But when we see the kind of stupidity that we see, when we see Sergeant Bergdahl, we get Bergdahl, a traitor, who 6 people got killed looking for him, and they get 5 killers that are back in the battlefields or soon will be. That's not what we want. When we give Iran $150 billion, we get nothing. And then they go and hit our 10 sailors. And frankly, if the money had been passed, they'd still have them. And then they take the money they don't buy from us. And yeah, we're angry. We're angry. Hopefully we're not going to be angry for long, because we're not angry. We're not angry people. But when we see the stupidity and the incompetence, we are angry, and there's nothing wrong about being angry. I hope you're angry enough to go out and vote tomorrow, folks, okay? Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, darling. Thank you, everybody. Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, great, Al. Why didn't you make the presentation? Oh, good. How are you? Hi, Stuart. Nice to see you, Stuart. Great.
Okay. On behalf of the Donald Trump's foundation here, we are very honored that instead of doing the political thing, he once again, since the 80s, the 70s, on the history I read of Mr. Trump, he's been taking care of veterans since then, and he's still taking care of veterans, and they donated $100,000 to our homeless veteran shelter in Manchester. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Congratulations. That's good. Good. I'll sign that right after.
This will make a big difference to help our homeless.
Congratulations. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Well, they want to get a picture for the Post. They're all a lot of our members from the Post. We're the American Legion here. Your son's coming at 3.
Getting them all liquored up.
I'll sign that right after.
Hey, thanks.